Chinese Mythology by Sandra Giddens and Owen Giddens. Chapter 5. The Dragon Myths. The dragon is the most striking beast in Chinese mythology and appears in many of the Chinese myths. The origin of Chinese dragons is unknown, but accounts of dragons predate written history. As guardian spirits, dragons belong to the race of immortals and mixed freely with gods and goddesses who sometimes used them as mounts to ride the sky. The Chinese dragon also shows up in other aspects of Chinese life, including its arts, literature, poetry, and architecture. The Chinese dragon, called Long, was very different from European dragons. Instead of fire, clouds came from his mouth. He had the head of a camel and horns of a stag, the eyes of a demon, and the ears of a cow, the neck of a snake, the belly of a clam, the scales of a carp, the claws of an eagle, and the paws of a tiger. He could also appear in human form. Some, but not all, sources say the Chinese dragon is deaf. The Chinese word for deaf sounds the same as the word for dragon. Dragons were generally classified into 4 types. The Tianlong, or celestial dragons, protected the gods and places. The Shenlong were the spiritual dragons who controlled the wind and rain. The Dilong, or earth dragons, controlled the river and waterways. And the Fulong, or underworld dragons, guarded precious metals buried in the earth. Other Chinese dragons could make themselves extremely large or very small. They could change colors and disappear altogether. The dragon's main element was water, and it could control rainfall as well as the water in lakes and rivers. Each body of water had its own guardian dragon. The larger the expansion of water, the more powerful the dragon. The dragon was usually well-meaning, although it did have fits of rage, causing havoc and creating storms and floods. The dragon was an important and powerful symbol. Dragons were used to depict all things male, or yang. The phoenix was used to depict all things female, or yin. The Chinese dragon had 4 claws, but the imperial dragon had 5. A dragon with 5 toes was the official symbol of the Emperor of China. The dragon symbolized goodness, strength, and wisdom. Anyone other than the emperor using the 5-claw motif was put to death. The Chinese dragon was thought to bring rain, and it is said that some of the worst floods were caused when a mortal angered a dragon. One attribute of the dragon in Chinese mythology was its ability to find pearls. Consequently, pearls are usually shown surrounded by flames, close to or coming from a dragon's mouth. For Taoists and Buddhists, it is the pearl that grants all desires and can represent wisdom and spiritual enlightenment. The Dragon and the Phoenix. One day, on an island in the river, the dragon and the phoenix found a shiny pebble and were so enchanted by its beauty that they decided to fashion it into a unique pearl. For a number of years, they stayed on the island, working on their pearl, grinding and polishing it until it was shiny a shiny, perfect sphere. This pearl was no common gem, and the light it gave off was no common light. In the glow of its radiance, spring, summer, and autumn ruled together all year on the island. The trees grew so tall and the plants so lush, and the flowers and fruit were in such abundance that this enchanted island caught the eye of the heavenly empress. When she learned the cause of the magic, she wanted the precious pearl. She sent a servant to steal it while the dragon and phoenix were sleeping, and when she hid it away. And then she hid it away. When the dragon and the phoenix awoke, they were very distraught to find their treasure gone. They looked everywhere, but to no avail. One day they passed the heavenly empress's palace and saw that it was filled with the silvery radiance that only the pearl could emit. The heavenly empress was holding her birthday celebration that day and brought out her newfound treasure so everyone could admire it. As soon as the guests gazed upon the pearl, the dragon and the phoenix came in and accused the heavenly empress of stealing their pearl. She was extremely angry and ordered their guards to throw the beasts out. In the struggle that followed, the pearl was accidentally tossed out through the window of the heavens and began to fall toward the distant earth. The dragon and the phoenix desperately tried to catch it, but in despair could not. The pearl landed in a clear, green lake. Unable to part with their treasures, the two creatures settled down beside the lake, and to this day, Jade Dragon Mountain and Golden Phoenix Mountain guard the lake in the far west of China. In traditional Chinese New Year's Day parades, dragons are believed to repel evil spirits that may spoil the new year. The mythical celebration of the Chinese dragon boat races has always been a symbol of Chinese culture and spirit. The festival takes place on the summer solstice and is thought to have once been for rain marking, as summer rain was very important to farmers. The dragon boat races are held on any convenient stretch of water in China. The boats are about 130 feet long and are designed with a dragon head prow. The sterns end with a scaly tail. Depending on the boat, up to 80 rowers can power the boat. Before a dragon boat enters a race, it must be brought to life by painting the eyes of the dragon in a sacred ceremony. The actual festival originated with the following myth. Around the 4th century BC, a minister by the name of Chu Yuan was banished to Zhou Emperor by the Zhou Emperor. He was honorable, wise, articulate, and well loved by the people. He did much to fight against the rampant corruption that plagued the court, thereby earning the envy and fear of the officials. Therefore, when he urged the emperor to avoid the conflict with the Qing kingdom, the officials pressured the emperor to have him removed from service. He wandered around the countryside writing poetry, but his banishment left him in great despair. Hearing that Qin had indeed defeated Zhou, he drowned himself in the Milo River His last poem reads, "Many a heavy sigh I have in despair, grieving that I was born in such an unlucky time. I yoked a team of jade dragons to a phoenix chariot, and waited for the wind to come to soar up on my journey." After Q Yuang's death, he appeared to those who cared about him in a dream, telling them to give sacrifices to his spirit by throwing food wrapped in bamboo leaves into the river. He also said that the people should scare away demons and ghosts with racing boats, which had dragon-shaped prows. His friends did as he said, and even today, centuries later, dragon races are still held. Dragons continue to be an integral part of Chinese culture as seen by the Dragon Boat Festival. Buildings, artifacts, clothing, art pieces, and, of course, through their myths. In conclusion, while empires, languages, nations, and entire populations in the rest of the world have raised and blossomed in their and then disappeared without a trace, parts of China are still following many of their old traditions. Its dragons, which have been produced for more than 25 centuries, have virtually the same characteristics. Today, there is little sign of the Communist Party relinquishing power in China, but the country is undergoing a huge commercial and creative change. There are large skyscrapers being constructed in cities all across the nation. Millions of people are finding jobs that earn them a spending power they have never known. The sheer pace of change is visible in every part of Chinese life, from the economy to the travel industry. But as China continues to change, the things that remain constant are its history and its myths. Through myths, the Chinese people are able to feel connected to one another, to their ancestors, to the natural world, to society, and to other cultures. End of chapter 5, The Dragon Myths. That was the end of Chinese Mythology by Sandra Giddens and Owen Giddens. Thank you guys. Please join me on my next book and subscribe.